friends, welcome into Cross My Heart Ministry. Laura Nick Barling here. Well, this is the December version of our do-it list, and because it's the holiday season, I'm going to give a couple of bonus things. We're going to pack a lot into today's video. If this is your first time, we just want to say welcome to you, and you've absolutely picked the best month to jump into trying our do-it list. Because during the holiday season, as we are doing that mad dash, getting ready for Christmas and trying to getting ready to wrap up Thanksgiving and then start that marathon, more like a sprint to be ready for Christmas, there's just so much to do. All that eating, the shopping, the baking, the wrapping, the mailing, the fa-la-la-la-lying. And so we want to open our homes. We want to welcome people in. We want home to be clean and tidy and decorated and all the things, but it's just hard to do it. And so that's where our do-it list steps in. If you're not familiar with this handy tool, I hope you'll give it a whirl. You can find the link below to print your own copy, but it basically just lays out all the things to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, and then sometime during the month. It sort of takes the thinking part out. And the intent here is to try to routinize, if that's a word, to make it a routine for all the things that you just get in the habit of doing. And just check the boxes or check off as many boxes as you can. Don't be legalistic about it. Don't be a slave to this. This thing is to serve you, not to make you serve it. But Christmas and December is a great time to get started. Now, we add a few different things seasonally to our monthly items. And so this month, you're going to see under holiday, we just put ings. And then under that, we've got shopping, wrapping, baking, mailing, hosting. And so it's all those ings that can sometimes just defeat us. And so if you just do a little bit of this each day and sort of get into that habit, not only can you get your house whipped into shape and be ready to host guests, but I think it can also cultivate some great routines and habits that you can carry over into 2025. Well, it's sort of those ings, and especially all the baking, that can get us into a little trouble during the holidays. And so I've read all sorts of different accounts about how much weight people gain during the holidays online, if you can trust any of those online references. Some say as much as 3 to 5 to 7 pounds before we get to January. And others say it's probably just a pound or two. But regardless of how much weight we gain, we really don't want to gain any. But we also want to indulge those things that are only made once a year. We want to lean into that, all the feasting and the celebrating. It's amazing to me as I study, especially Old Testament scripture, how many of the celebrations were around feasts and how God created us to enjoy food and to celebrate together. He could have made food, if it were just fuel, it would all be bland and tasteless and be the same if it were just fuel to fuel our body engine. But we savor all the flavors. We taste salty and sweet, and we have those things that we make. And there's nothing that unites our hearts together than like gathering around the table during the holidays. But we just don't want to feel so horrible and so bloated that we come to January and we're just almost depressed that we did it all. So I want to share today 10 ideas. You know how I love my little top 10 list. So we'll call this 10 ways to try to make sure your jeans still fit in January. How's that for 10 items? And I'm not going to tell you to eat lettuce and carrot sticks all during the month of December, but I'm hoping that at least maybe one of these might be helpful. If there's one that you like, leave me a note in the notes below the video and tell me which one gives you some food for thought. You see what I did there? Or just gives you an idea that you think I can lean into that. So let's go down the list, and then I'm going to wrap up with a recipe for you. So, okay, number one, park at the back of the parking lot. Now, parking way at the back gives you a chance to build in some steps. And it's amazing that we can really burn off just a few calories as we make that our habit. My husband, the engineer who likes to protect his vehicles, would also tell you that's a great way to protect your vehicle from getting dinged by other cars, because everybody wants to park close to the front. But if you park way at the back, chances are you won't have any neighbors right up next to you. So there you go. The other thing about parking way at the back is it gives you an opportunity to sort of pray as you walk in, to sort of prepare yourself, to say, Lord, I'm a woman, I'm a Christmas shopper here on mission to finish this list and get them home. but I am first and foremost your daughter, and God is a woman of God. I want to be available. If there's someone here that you want me to connect with, you want me to pray with, that needs a word of encouragement, that I want to realize that the grocery store can also be my mission field, or the mall, or wherever it is you're going to do that errand. So number one is to park at the back of the lot. Get your steps in. Number two is to drink a full glass of water about 30 minutes before every meal. Sometimes we just get so hungry and we've deprived ourselves in waiting, and then we just eat too quickly. And slowing down, drinking that glass of water about 30 minutes out, I find that that sort of satisfies my hunger, helps me to approach that meal with a little more calmness. It's not like it's going to be my last one, and it gives you that sense of fullness. So that's tip number two. Number three is to just eat slower. I think I started eating really fast when I had babies, and I knew I only had so much time before a baby was going to wake up, or I was going to need to nurse a baby, and I just found I just started eating so fast, and it's not good for us. In fact, I think I've heard people say that eating slower allows your body to start to digest the food so that the message can get to your brain that you're starting to get full. So that's why when we eat too fast and then suddenly we hit the point that we are just so stuffed that we almost feel sick. So slow down. Savor the flavors. I've heard it said, lay your fork down in between bites. Be sure that you're having a conversation with those that you are enjoying that meal with. So don't eat so fast. Number four, avoid eating while inging. And by inging, I mean wrapping and decorating and addressing or baking. If you're going to eat, then sit down and eat. But it's easy to just become a little mindless and not consciously aware of how many M&Ms you're throwing in your mouth or how much you're eating if you're just sort of grazing while you're doing other things. So avoid eating while inging. Number five is to brush your teeth before baking. And if I do that, it sort of keeps me from sampling every batch of cookies as they come out of the oven. It's like, does every batch really need to be taste tested? And so I don't want to bake 6 dozen cookies and find that I've had one from each of those dozen samples as they come out of the oven. Number 6 is to exercise every single day. Even if it's just 15 minutes, even if you would normally, if you exercise and walk 45 minutes 3 or 4 times a week, try to exercise every day. I think when I go outside to exercise, I just get that lovely sense of fresh air and sunshine, and I just feel so much better. I may not have time to get my full 3 miles in, but if I could just walk to the end of the block and back, it just sort of changes my disposition. It's time for a quick walk and just to check in with the Lord, to pray about your day. Maybe if you take your phone and you need to call a friend, you could even walk and talk at the same time. But getting in even just a 15-minute walk every day can help keep things moving and burn up a few calories. Number 7 is, I even have a visual for this, when you go out to do all those errands, grab a piece of fruit to take with you, an apple or a banana, just something healthy. It's always amazing to me that the things that we can pick up on the run to eat quickly are rarely things that are healthy for us. And during the holiday season, we can expect that every errand that we need to run is going to take longer. Everyone's out. There's more crowded people in the shops. There's more cars on the road. You might be more tempted to run through a drive-thru and grab some French fries or a greasy burger, something that you can just eat on the run because you're hungry and you're out past lunch and you didn't plan to be. So always try to grab something healthy to take along. Wash that apple. The banana is so great because it doesn't even need to be washed, but always take a healthy snack with you. If you eat that, you're so hungry, then go ahead and get the burger if you need to, but at least you've had some forethought to plan for a healthy snack. Number 8, make some party trades. Make some party trades. Now, what do I mean to that? Okay, so when do you go to a party, and maybe it's a work party, or it's a work party with your spouse, or it's a small group party, what have you, where they'll have all the hors d'oeuvres and the plates of all the food and the dips that go with the veggies and the fruit and all that kind of thing, and then all the yummy main course items, and then the desserts are coming. So look at what's out there and make some calculated trades. So what you may say to yourself is, they're serving baked potatoes, and I really want to have sour cream on my baked potato. So when I go through to indulge in all the veggies and the fruit, I'm just not going to get any of that dip. I'm just going to forego the dip. I don't care about it. I'm maybe not going to have the chips. I'll just have the veggies from my appetizer so that I can really enjoy that main course and that baked potato with the sour cream. And then you look at the desserts and you think, I really want to have that cheesecake, but I'm having the baked potato. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat half of it. I'm not going to just deprive myself of that delicious dessert, but I'm going to slow down, enjoy the rest of my meal, and then eat half of that dessert. And then what you may do is decide if I'm going to have dessert and I'm going to have the sour cream, and I've got 2 entrees here. There's a beef one and a chicken one, and I really like both of them equally. Well, I'm going to opt for the chicken or maybe the fish because it's going to be much lower in fat and much healthier than the red meat. So you see what I'm saying? Just sort of make some conscious, deliberate efforts to not go into a lovely party like that and just almost feel like, oh, I can only eat carrot sticks and I can only have the fish and I had to have dry baked potato and I can't have any dessert. No, indulge, but make some choices that are trade-outs that make you feel better about things when you leave and not just so stuffed that you don't even feel good later. Number 9, be intentional. And this kind of goes along with a couple that I've mentioned before, but intentional and not mindless eating. So just decide what you're going to do. Make that decision that I'm going to indulge in this and this and this, but just grazing through the day and having no clue what you ate to make you so full at the end of the day is a waste of calories and a waste of time. And we just made choices that are not healthy for us. So make some decisions. Look at your schedule. Where are you going? I'm going to have lunch out with my girlfriends. I'm going to do this because later tonight I'm doing this. So make some conscious effort to not choose mindless eating and grazing, but decisions about your health and what you're going to trade and do and how you're going to make that work. And then number 10 is to keep some sweet things on hand because it just seems to be the season for the sweets. We're going to have more things around that are going to tempt us, the M&Ms or the chocolate candies, or maybe you make homemade truffles, or there's some, if you're like me, there are some holiday recipes and cookies and things that we only make this time of the year and we want to indulge in those. But maybe I'm going to have 1 or 2 of those later. And so during the day, in the middle of the afternoon, I just have a craving for something sweet. So maybe have some cookies on hand that you're going to make for yourself that are sweet and good, but are also light and healthy for us. Okay, so here comes the bonus part of today's video. I told you that we had 2 or 3 things going for you today. We're giving you the do-it list. I've given you 10 ways to be sure that your jeans fit in January. And now that tip number 10 that was all about having something sweet on hand, I want to share a recipe with you for something that I'm calling Cran-Ban-Oat cookies, and that's short for cranberry banana oatmeal cookies. Now, I've adapted this from a Weight Watcher recipe. I've lost some weight during the last year, and I've done it partly because of Weight Watchers and that accountability, but also some exercise and some other things. And I may do a video in the next few months to talk about that. But I love Weight Watchers, and I love using their app to calculate the points. And so these particular points for this particular recipe, 1 cookie just has 1 point, and that's pretty amazing. Now, when I adapted the recipe, I'm adding these Bake Believe dark chocolate chips to mine, just a few, but it will add about half a point to each cookie. So this recipe uses bananas, oatmeal, cinnamon, salt, cranberries, and then I'm adding the Bake Believe chips. So there's no flour, there's no eggs, there's no oil, there's no butter. I'm anxious to try them. I've never tried these cookies, but I've tried a variation that another friend made. So we're going to give it a whirl. I'm going to go ahead and let you watch me make them, and then I'll take a picture after they're baked, let you see what they look like, and we will go from there. So first of all, we're going to preheat the oven to 375. Get that going. Now, the recipe calls for 2 medium ripe bananas, and here's what a ripe banana looks like. It's ready to be made into a smoothie or to be mashed up. So I have already mashed up my 2 medium ripe bananas. They are in here. I just used a fork, and if they're really nice and ripe, they are going to mash up Very, very easy. And I just use the tongs of my fork to make that happen. So we're going to rake all these in here. Get the bananas into my mixing bowl so you can see what I've did here. Next is 1 cup of oatmeal. So we'll get this measured out. I think that I may have the cookies mixed up even before the oven is completely preheated because there's just not a whole lot here to the recipe, which is nice. I love it when it's not only easy to make, but also low in fat and really somewhat healthy for us. So I'm hoping that these are going to be absolutely wonderful. And then we can keep these on hand during the holidays when we want that little bite of something sweet. We can jump in and indulge. Okay, it calls for 1/2 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. And so 1/2 tablespoon would be 1½ teaspoons. My cinnamon is getting to the end of the jar. I'm going to have to indulge in a little bit more. I bought these. I have these new little measuring spoons. I want to show them to you. They are so cute. They are actually shaped like hearts. And so this was a little gift that I gave to all the ladies on my leadership team before we started Bible study this year. And so it's just a reminder to put some love into what you're baking and to pray for the people that you are cooking for. And if you're interested in getting a set of these, I would love to send them to you, my gift to you, for a donation of any amount to cross my heart. So you can find information in the notes below, how to reach out to me by email, and we could talk about how we can make sure that you get a set of those as well. There's my cinnamon. Then it calls for 1/8 teaspoon of salt. That is not very much salt. So I need just a little pinch. This is my 1/4 of the measure. I don't seem to have an 1/8. I need to get an 1/8 of the measuring spoon out here. I put that couple in place. There it is. Okay, 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to give this a good mix now to get all of my banana mixed in with the oats. Here we go. It smells good because the cinnamon gives it that nice flavor. And of course, the banana is going to be what holds it together. It's going to make it nice and moist. I like this recipe because it doesn't make a ton. That means it's going to be really easy to whip up quickly, and you can replenish your stock if you need to add more because that's been your go-to with all your little breaks that you need from all the shopping and eating. Okay, next is my little banana and apple snack out of the way. Next are dried cranberries. These are going to give it a festive holiday look, these little red cranberries, so that makes it nice. So I've got my 1/4 cup measuring spoon out here. Calls for 1/4 cup of these. They're still pretty soft. Sometimes if you don't use these right away, they can get a little hard. But I think the bananas would soften them up anyway. So I'm going to mix these together really well. And then I'm adding my own little version to the recipe, and I'm going to drop in some of these Bake Believe dark chocolate chips. So these are no sugar added baking chips, and they are just a great substitute for the regular chocolate chips that we typically use. And I'm going to put, again, just a 1/4 cup of these in here. Again, we're only making, this recipe says 14 cookies, so we'll see how that measures out with my measuring scoop that I have right here. This is what I'm going to use. We'll see how many it makes. And we're not going to be in and out of the oven a ton. It's going to be probably all the cookies will fit on this one go-round in the oven. So it's going to go pretty quick. The recipe says to bake these until firm, and that'll take about 10 to 12 minutes. Let me get that all raked off of here. And I think I'm ready to go. Going to go ahead and put these on the baking sheet. Get my little scoop out here. I think I'm just seeing my red. I thought there was something on my scoop, but I think my red apron is reflecting into the scoop there. In case you're wondering, what is she doing? Okay, here we go. Got my little scooper here. One. I'm anxious to see if it comes out right to be about 14 cookies. 2. So I hope you'll give these a try. We're also adding a link to the recipe. So you've got all these nice tips for the holidays to keep from maybe having a big weight gain problem in January. You've got the do-it list to help you keep everything together and try to get things neat and tidy and organized for the holiday season. And now you've got this great cookie recipe to help supplement your eating habits and give you something sweet and yummy during the holidays so that you don't always feel deprived and you're not tempted just to grab a handful of this or that that's not so healthy for you. So we've got tips for you today. We've got a couple of downloads. And again, the links to all of those will be in the notes below. And I do hope that one of those 10 items I suggested has piqued your interest or given you something to think about. So again, leave me a note below and let me know of all those 10 tips, which one resonated? Which one will be one that you'll think, you know, I hadn't thought about that, but I think that will be what I choose to do when I go to a party or how I'm going to try to adjust daily life to make all that work. Okay, let me count, see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think it's going to be just about spot on to have 14 cookies. That one, I've got one that looks a little light, so I'm going to add a little bit more dough, if you want to call it dough. It's hard to call it dough if it doesn't have flour in it, but that's the whole point, right? We're trying to avoid having those things that are not as healthy for us. And then I need to make room, scoot these over. They need to be about 1 inch apart, and I kind of got a little too close together there. I need to squish in here to get one more cookie in. And I think we're just about there. I got a little bit more dough that I need to get out of my pan because it's like I was born in the Great Depression. I hate to waste anything. I am my grandmother's granddaughter. She just was so careful with everything, and I find myself doing the same thing. Don't want to wash any cookies down the sink. So which one needs a little more? We'll drop that right there. Okay, so there's how they go. There's how they look. We're going to hope that this all sets up quite nicely. Here's what they look like before they're baked. Let me see if I can hold it up and tilt it without losing them. There you go. I'm going to put these in the oven for 14 minutes. We'll take a picture when it's all said and done. And let you see what that looks like.